Okay,
I'm gonna put some thought into mine, so I'll sign it.
okay.
in the meeting, so.
I'm gonna get a plan too, so,
Okay.
okay. Okay, we're live.
What it says?
Okay, and are we live on Facebook? Because then it said YouTube, okay. Wondering if we are on Facebook. Doesn't look like it.
It says you're live on YouTube.
Okay, just not on Facebook. Do I have to go back and? I'm wondering. I'm afraid to.
No, I think we're.
I think we're gonna just go with that. Okay. Okay.
Pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Aldermember Starr, Plackty, Whitsitt, Holson, Ellert, Kerrigan.
Yep.
Mayor Barner.
Here.
We have a quorum.
Hang on, I have the mics from the.
Aldermember Starr, Whitsitt, Holson, Ellert. Yeah.
As always, welcome to visitors. Thank you for coming out. We move on right into the consent agenda.
I'll make a motion, we approve the consent agenda.
So motion,
Second.
a second, all in favor? 6-0, consent agenda is approved. Mayor's report, about a whole lot reports. I will be going tomorrow to the Veterans Day brunch. I look forward to honoring my fellow veterans there, and speaking of Veterans Day, City Hall will close tomorrow. In celebration of Veterans Day. And the only other thing I wanna make a mention is, people ask me if I made an alderman appointment yet. The way I'm gonna handle that is, Alderwoman Eller has seen fit to stay through the month of November. Since filing begins on December 9th, I would like to see who files. If only one person files, I will likely appoint that person immediately after December 30th. With more than one person files, well, I'll let the election take its course because I'm a constituent before the people will be represented. And I'll find out somebody to fill the gaps from January to February, March. That's how that's gonna roll. Other than that, I have no further report. Go to the Alderman report, Alderman Blackman.
My report for this meeting is more, I'm gonna go with this is a positive comment, it's gonna make you sound like an old person. Okay, so we had Halloween, and we live in an older neighborhood, and we don't necessarily always get a lot of trick or treaters. The kids, we had more than we normally do. And the kids and the parents who came to our house were all very polite and well behaved. That's my report.
All right, Alderman Kerrigan.
Boo to you too.
Okay. Well, that's good. I'm glad everybody had, I think everybody had a safe Halloween. I haven't heard of anything, any major incidents in the city, so that was a positive thing. Just reminding for everybody, temperatures start to drop, unplug your hoses, things like that, take care of your animals, make sure they're prepped, ready to go. And make sure you're checking on your peeps. Make sure they have heat, food, things like that. Don't forget the people as the weather get worse.
Alderman Colson.
Nothing tonight.
Alderwoman Eller.
I would just like to thank Darren. He made several people on Marion very happy by giving that street. So I want to thank our street department for making a group of people very.
Yes, I had some people have me. So Alderman Starr.
I've got nothing, thank you.
Alderman received the suggestions for, food trucks and downtown from Terrico on Friday. So I'll be trying to put together a meeting with, Ty Wells and Terrico and myself to see what we can get worked out for the, proposed ordinance that we had a couple of meetings ago. Very good. Appreciate your leadership on that. Yes, sir. All right. City Administrator report.
Okay, I'm just gonna speak up because y'all can hear me. Parks, basketball signups for kindergarten through sixth have been extended through tomorrow. So Wednesday morning when Lindsay comes in, those will be done. Practices are set to scheduled to start on the 2nd of December. Parks crew's been working on the magic tree lights. They've got it as far as they can reach. And the electric guys are going to pick up and finish the tree for them. We've had 3 wastewater employees that have been going through training over the course of the last couple of months. They've all completed that training now. They'll be testing soon, so we're excited to see that. They did have their quality control report. Everything came back and they passed, so they're doing good there. And there was a really big breaker at the southeast plant that broke, that's now been replaced, so that plant's back up and operational. From a finance standpoint, we've started the budget process already. This will be my first one, so it's gonna be tons of fun, but I've asked all the department heads to get their worksheets put together and turned in. We're gonna be looking at a fee analysis to see really where we're at on our fees, and that's gonna take all hands to get that done. The audit, December 8th meeting. They promised me they will be at the December 8th meeting to present the audit, so we're getting very, very close on that. We'll be welcoming our new community development director or coordinator tonight. I've been working with her quite a lot, trying to teach her her job. She's catching on great, so we're excited about that. And as you can see, the community building upgrades have begun. So your new tables are here. The sound system should be installed next week, and as soon as I can find a really good carpenter, that's cool. That's, who's the carpenter? The orange, that's gotta go, right? It's gotta go.
I don't care.
I didn't care things up. It's what we built that we probably need ordered, so.
Oh, that.
Yeah, it's that. So, electric department has been working on getting the Christmas lights up. They've got to take the festival lights all down. They have the wreaths up. They'll do an overnight one night this week and get all of the swags up. And I believe Adam and Matt Couch got all of the building lights tested and going last week. So we should be ready for the lighting ceremony, which is next Monday night. So I hope you guys all plan to be there for that. They did have a couple of outages this weekend. They were both very minor. Transformer blew over on South Connor, and then they had a fuse blow on South Johnson, but they were able to get all of those homes back in service in a relatively short period of time. Chief Thompson's been working on the public safety sales tax information. It's been to a presentation to you tonight on that. It's going to be at Rotary Club this Thursday. He's got several different showings throughout the community and over the course of the next few months, just to get the information about that out to everyone. He did indicate that Halloween night was very successful, no major problems. I've heard from a lot of people throughout the community that trick-or-treating went well in the neighborhoods, in the downtown, the different trunk or treats that we had. So much appreciation to the entire community for doing their part to do to help with that. On the administration side of things, we've had 298 business licenses this year to date, which is great. And we'll be interviewing the electric department. We have some applications for the lineman and the apprentice that we'll be doing interviews for next week.
Any public comments? Seeing none, we'll move on to new business. First, staff introduction, Jenny on new community development.
Miss Jenny. Most of you might know Jenny. She has been with Heritage Realty for the last 18 years. And we are super excited that we were able to steal her away and put her to work for the community development department. She's going to be the coordinator. She's been learning how to do permits. She's been learning to do a lot of research in the last couple of weeks. She may be sick of my answer of what's the code say, but she is learning it and really digging in and doing a great job. We're excited to have her on our team. You probably all know her, but please welcome her to our team.
And now, the recommendation and appointment of the incoming planning commissioner, David Bash. I recommended David, I called him up and he was very interested. If you remember, David was on the police facility focus group, did an outstanding job there. He's very interested in anything he could do to help the community. He's more than willing to, meet with myself and Martin McDermott, once again, those two occasions and met with me and explained the job description to him and what all that entails. And David didn't know what. So, he's really good, but I think he's gonna make an excellent part of the planning and zoning commission, and I would hope that you would approve his nomination. So I would take the nomination to approve David Badgley as the planning commission.
So moved.
Motion to the second, all in favor? 6-0. David, you are now approved, and
Thank you.
city clerk will, because of your planning.
Okay.
Raise your right hand. I state your name.
I, David Badgley,
Do solemnly swear that I meet the qualifications as prescribed by law to serve as a member of the planning commission
Do
of the
sol-
city of Odessa.
solemnly swear or affirm that I meet the qualifications as prescribed by law to serve as a member of the planning commission of the city of Odessa.
I further affirm that I will support and uphold the Constitution of the United States,
I further affirm that I will support and uphold the Constitution of the United States,
the Constitution of the state of Missouri,
the Constitution of the state of Missouri,
the statutes of the state of Missouri,
the statutes of the state of Missouri,
and the ordinances of the city of Odessa.
and the ordinances of the city of Odessa.
So help me.
So help me God. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Dave.
Real quick.
All right, so moving on to bill number 25, introductions and readings of bill number 2025-45, calling for a general election in and for the city of Odessa, Missouri, Tuesday, April 7th, 2026, to elect municipal officers and provide notice to the general public as required by law. We'll take a motion to approve the first reading of bill number 2025.
Make a motion to approve the first reading of bill number 2025-25, first reading.
Motion on the second, all in favor of the first reading? 6-0, discussion. There is none. We'll move on to the second reading, bill number 20, introduction and readings of bill number 2025-25, calling for a general election in and for the city of Odessa, Missouri, on Tuesday, April 7th, 2026, to elect municipal officers and provide notice to the general public as required by law. Take motion to approve a second reading and as an ordinance. Alderman Miller.
I'll make a motion to approve the second reading and approve the bill as an ordinance of bill number 2025-25, calling for a general election.
A motion and a second, roll call.
Aldermember Placty,
Yes.
Whitsitt,
Yes.
Polson.
Yes.
Eller.
Yes.
Kerrigan.
Yep.
Star.
Yes.
Motion carried, giving ordinance number 3164.
We'll get to that to, resolution, a motion to be placed before the
Yeah, and Karen sent me this, so, do we need to, we'll talk about this after I make the motion. Why we do that? It's just a clarification.
Yes.
So I move to amend the previous approved minutes of September 22nd, 2025 by correcting the administrative number of the resolution that was incorrectly reported as resolution number 2025-26. I move that the correct sequential number for the Army Corps of Engineers resolution be changed to resolution number 2025-30. No further action of the Army Corps of Engineers easement that was previously approved on the September 22nd, 2025 meeting be taken.
Got a motion and second. Is there any discussion from me?
It's clear while we're doing, so what happened was that the 2025-26 that we approved in our September meeting was given to another issue. So we are now we're not getting rid of it. We're just now saying that we're gonna approve that this is gonna be 2025-30.
Correct.
So it's just a vertical stream.
Yep.
That's correct.
That's it.
Legal shape, forget it.
Correct. Yeah.
Good stuff.
You good, right?
Got a motion and a second. Does this require a roll call or just?
No, a voice vote is fine.
Okay, let's vote. All in favor? 6-0.
Okay.
Motion carries. Moving on to resolution number 2025-30, proposed resolution number 2025-30, and approving the donation of an easement and memorandum of understanding between the city of Odessa, Missouri, and the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers regarding land owned by the city of Odessa. Discussion. Alderman.
We were waiting for some amendments. This is correct. So when we had our September meeting, we talked about this and approved this easement. But we were waiting for some amendments. Is that correct? That's why we're now bringing it
Correct.
back. Correct. And what I'm reading here is what we discussed. So
But you know, you can take care of.
I just wanted to clarify that what happened in September is now happening in November because we're waiting for some amendments.
Yes.
I don't know that the MOU takes care of the concerns,
Good point.
but it kind of documents the concerns.
Yeah.
The MOU to me, is kind of a good neighbor policy that will notify each other what our plans are.
Yes.
The change in the easement itself, the first three things that are listed, if you go to at least the first page of the easement deed as it originally was listed, there's three things: no defoliation, no removal, no exploration is in the original. Those were carried forward to the new easement. Let me see if I can find that. And they added a fourth stipulation there. And in the MOU, it says that, the Corps of Engineers will allow the city of Odessa to do things as long as it doesn't violate their mission. But then the fourth item says that, the city of Odessa will not make any improvements, which I think creates a huge problem. Because to me, that's specifically saying that we will not add a well. So we've now documented, in the easement itself that we're not going to be able to do something that we definitely may want to do.
Derek, can you speak to that?
Well, when we first had the meeting with the Army Corps of Engineers, that was my main concern, was that we needed to have at least 300 feet from our wells to put in an additional well if we ever. That was my stipulation. So will we ever need it? Maybe not, but the town does grow. You know, we start coming up in size, we're gonna need enough wells, so That was the situation I had, so we had to be able to put at least one, if not two more wells over there.
And Mayor, if I could clarify,
Go ahead.
those conditions on the easement, they are conditions that we cannot do without the prior approval of the U.S. Army Corps of Engineer. And the MOU is the idea that, yes, we will work with each other and we will be good neighbors and be working with each other. It's just that the Army Corps of Engineers can't say, you can definitely build X, Y, and Z right now. And we realize, that people change, but people change, positions change, and we may not know who the Army Corps of Engineers staffers are in the next couple of years. But these staffers have assured us that whenever people do need to make improvements or construction, that they have been granted. This is a program in which they want to mitigate some habitat loss. So they're wanting to plant trees, for example. So they probably would not approve us going in and knocking down their trees, but they would approve other things that would not infringe upon that habitat mitigation. So that's the idea with the easement, is that there are those 4 conditions, but those just can't happen without the prior written approval of the Army Corps of Engineers.
That's exactly where my problem is that we're not guaranteed approval to put in a well.
Correct.
And if you go back and look at what, there's 3, things that are listed in their, paperwork that's endangered, there's only one of them that's still endangered. They've copied, the 3 endangered species from their old paperwork. The sturgeon is the only one that's still endangered. The, plover is, near, what is their wording? Near threatened or something. The other one is no longer endangered at all since 2021. So there's only one of them that's still endangered, and that's the sturgeon. But the fact that we have to get their approval before we can do something, as you said, people change. And that wasn't in the original one. Well, now it's documented in the easement that we can make no construction of new structures or improvement nor expansion of any existing structures or improvements on said land without someone's approval.
And that's correct.
Someone's approval. And, I'm from the government and I'm here to help you.
Yeah, and that's correct, and that is accurate to say. To be clear, that 4th condition was always in the easement that the Army Corps of Engineers wanted us to approve. That was removed by us, offering them, can we remove this? The Army Corps of Engineers said no, and they said there are no amendments we can make. The best they could do was this MOU. But you are correct, there is no guarantee that we would be able to build any wells. That is accurate.
So what are we getting out of this agreement other than them being able to control what we do with our land?
Well, that is what they are asking for, is permission to use the land as a habitat mitigation area. Because it's on, this area in particular is on that bank, the Camden Bend of the river. And that's why they want to use this land in particular. They're looking at also the next property owner over, so it's not just the city's property, but that is what the idea is a habitat destruction mitigation program, so that they can hopefully build up that habitat back up right there.
But we're not getting anything out of it.
No,
We're actually giving away our right to the property.
I wouldn't say fully giving them away, but yes, there are conditions on some uses of the land now if this would be approved. Yeah.
So if we need a well, how are we gonna get it?
Well, if we have to build any improvements on that land, we would request of the Army Corps of Engineer that we could do that work. Of course, we didn't have, specific details of those. They said generally that that would be an okay improvement to make, but that we would have to, come to that as we do.
So what if they say no?
Then you're right, correct. We would not be able to build that well then there. You're correct.
I'm not confident that's a risk that we need to put the city of Odessa in. Where we're getting nothing out of it. And that's a big risk of future growth. We can't do anything.
Well, I have to say that, we have 2 wells right now. We only run one at a time. So we've got to do a lot of growth from the third or fourth well. Which I don't know in my lifetime, but who knows what's wrong.
Yeah.
So I originally, when I talked to our engineer, did not want them to, I wanted 300 feet from our well, to stay with us, and they could have anything past it. That gives me enough room. I guess my well's gonna be 300 feet apart.
Yeah.
That gives me enough room to set 2 more wells.
Seems reasonable.
So, that's my thought on it. I don't feel comfortable them having control of us not being able to, give.
What was their response to
Yeah.
300 feet?
I did not talk to him after that. They've dealt with Sean. I told Sean what I wanted, and, you know, I don't know what Sean's told them since then. That's the only time I spoke with them. We did draw up a map. I don't know what happened with that, but, Sean showed me. Obviously, we changed that. Yeah, it is, I mean, I'm not saying we'll ever need a well, but, you know, we don't know, I don't know, future brings, so.
Yeah, tie your hands
And quiet.
No, that's fine.
Can I just suggest that we postpone this till Shauna gets back and we look into it a little bit more? Because it sounds like you're telling me you don't know what Shauna talked to them about, so.
If I could, we did have a meeting with the Army Corps of Engineers, and they were, I mean, they were very understanding and, you know, understanding of what our position was, that we are nervous about not being able to do things in the future, that yes, you can sit here across from us and promise us things, but that, you know, we can't rely on that. And that was, you know, it. We don't have any ability to change anything in the easement. Their response has been very much, no, this is what the easement is. So if we want to try to negotiate further, we certainly can. If it's something you're not comfortable with, that's also okay. They are asking at this point, just for this easement, without any compensation or anything. But it was communicated to them, we need that space. We're nervous about needing more space for the well. So they understand that, they know that, but they can't promise us anything. They can't. And that's why this is correct.
For years, the group's gonna say.
Correct, yeah. And this MOU was the best we could get to of, you know, agreeing to work with each other. But we can't, you know, you guys can't bind the future body. They can't tell what the next staffers will do. And
Well, you
that's
know,
kind of the impasse.
Being a creature
True.
in your now, so if it's something in danger, they're probably not gonna. So,
And they did say, you know, I asked them, what are some things that have been denied, what's been approved? They said that as far as they were aware, everything's been approved in previous permits, or I'm sorry, with previous easements under these projects, that everything has been approved. But again, that is the past, and we also don't know that it's accurate. But yeah.
You can come to us like a fire.
yeah, they're buying, they own the west of our property, and they're buying the east side. So we have this connector track right below it. That's fine, they're one. The original one side,
Yeah, that's fine.
we would sell it.
Yeah.
That,
Can't they on either side that they've already bought, and you are area alone, we don't have.
Well, but, yeah, we don't have to.
I don't think it's right when they're gonna offer it. Well, yeah.
Are they eminent domain if we say no?
Not that I.
Okay. Alright. I would say if they're willing to work with us, I agree with Darren, as long as we don't make ourselves committed to never being able to do anything that way, we'd be okay, but if they're not willing to even compromise or budge on that, then I'd say a vote tonight and just be done with it, because if they're not willing to work. But that's what I'm hearing from you, that it sounds like they don't want to really, it's either what they propose or nothing.
Yes, it is, this is what has been proposed. This is the easement language that's been approved. I mean, remember, we're talking about the federal government, so it's been all through their ranks, and this is the easement language that's approved, and this is what they're willing to use.
I mean, we're a long way from needing another well. I'll figure, I mean, we are. We're gonna have to think of a lot more water if we need a well. And right now, rural water comes to everything around us. So they would have to release anything outside of our city limits for us to pick up water. Even if the city went more southeast west, And they've got to release what they have before we can pick it up, so, we're not just gonna be able to take over, so.
Correct.
Or maybe other entities though that wanted to roll the well on our property.
And do we have the option to sell leaks to a well to somebody?
There might be, I don't know that we would allow them to do that. Being they're in our aquifer, I mean, we don't own that aquifer, they go next door in the court, of course they want to, but we don't want to drain so much water from that, have several people drink on the spot, because it will drop that aquifer, so. I don't know that we'd ever allow somebody to drill a well over there. We actually bought that well from Rural Water, where we bought it from, so then we drilled the second one on there, so. I don't know anybody else that would want to drill a well over there. Wellington's got rural water, Napoleon's got rural water, so I don't know if I would want to, but I mean, it is something that we might control.
You still want to postpone it, talk to Sean?
Well,
Do you think that?
my opinion is that if they would say, give us permission to drill a well whenever we needed it, I think we'd be all fine with that. But that's the problem, is that we have to ask their permission if we give them this to, and it is federal government, so, what kind of paperwork would that go through to say, 10 years from now, or 15 years from now, or whatever, that we needed to drill a well, we gotta get their permission. If you're saying that, well, if we take that back to the table to them?
I certainly can. It has been presented as a very much take it or leave it offer, but we can certainly continue.
I mean, I think
Sure.
telling them we're not for it unless they do that, so if they don't want to work with us on, a little freehand there, then that's my opinion, then I would say. What's gonna happen if they don't get this thing? Are they gonna keep after us?
We haven't reached those discussions yet, but I can look into them and see what they would want to do.
I
Think of Donna gets back, to find out exactly what she.
maybe look into this a little bit more.
I do have something to say, back when that all flooded about 5 years ago, and it flooded for about 6 months. The Army Corps of Engineers still hasn't fixed their levee, that's right out from our wells. It's still not been fixed, there's still a big hole in it. Now, I don't know if it's part of, I don't know if
No,
it's part of
that
this,
was
to
not
fix
part
that
of this.
levee if they got that. But I didn't feel with my own seat of fixing, so, just give you guys a heads up.
Yeah.
So, they said they would after Gates got his fixed, and it never was fixed, so.
Would that fall under this part that the partnership, the Corps will implement measures to divert water flow away from the city's existing wells, reducing potential erosion and protecting water resources?
Maybe, I mean,
You
But, I
can,
mean,
you can word it like that.
Right, they were
other than-
supposed to have done it before anyway,
right.
and it's done, so what makes us think they're gonna do it here?
I don't know
I
whether
don't
or
know.
not, that was never discussed with them or not, I know they've never fixed the levee there, there's still a big hole in the levee.
Well, I would propose, I agree with you guys, if you want to postpone it, till Shauna comes back, but I would definitely either vote tonight or postpone it. And I'm okay with either.
Twice has been mentioned, Shauna this, Shauna that, so maybe if we're at least having, Shauna, who I think, and I appreciate you
Sure.
talking to the your meetings, but maybe that's the way to go. They would both need to know right off the bat.
If that's the case, they'll take a motion to postpone the resolution 2025-30 to a time such as the city administrator can address this with our appointment.
No, miss.
Yes, second.
Got a motion second, all in favor? 6-0, so be it.
Darren, thanks for coming.
All right, moving on to, proposed resolution number 2025-31, authorizing the mayor to execute a professional services contract between the city of Littleton, Missouri and College Martin and Associates Incorporated for electrical engineering services on an on-call / task order basis. Discussion.
Troy, is anyone, all right, I'm sorry, go ahead. I can say, Troy, is this services to help engineer, grid and whatnot, giving the services for you, the electrical department? Yeah. Obviously. So,
This will help us on many of the surveys or studies or, just a real round, area of engineering, review, Christian.
Is this the first step in our rate study?
Yes, it will all.
Bruce, you have something?
Have any kind of solar experience? We spend about 10% of our total wholesale electric cost in city electric use. Between city buildings and street lights and just city electric costs. They be able to bring experience in cutting city electric costs for us. Whether it's solar or transformers or just being able to cut that cost. Sure they have experience, I know they have experience with solar. And with the cost, see what their studies and things like that on further equipped. Right.
Questions, comments? Good. Hearing none, I'll take a motion to approve resolution number 2025-31. Make motion to approve resolution number 2025-31, professional electrical engineering.
I'll second.
Alderman Aller seconds. All in favor? 6-0, resolution carries. Next up, proposed resolution number 2025-32, authorizing the mayor to sign a development agreement between the city of Odessa, Missouri, and developers Steve and Lisa Bailey regarding the Hill Development Project. Discussion. Alderman, I need to abstain.
Okay.
Further, any discussion?
So just to clarify, it is I think it needs to be explained.
All right, Kathy.
Yeah, this has been an ongoing, process. The Hill project started 20 years ago. And ordinances and staff have all changed a time or 10 in that 20-year period. There was not a development agreement at the beginning of the Hill development that said cities covering this, developers covering that. The Bailey's interpretation of the ordinance was different than the city's interpretation of the ordinance, and there was a disagreement about how and who should pay for the electrical service for the Hill project. We've done quite a bit of negotiating. I'm sure Lindsay can attest to that, back and forth. There's a road that needs to be repaired. Long story short, when we spoke about this previously, this is the agreement that was agreed upon, and you guys said, figure it out. This is the agreement that Lindsay has worked very hard to come up with, has worked with Bailey's legal counsel, and everybody has agreed on these terms. That being said, we do have some building permits that are pending for that development that cannot be issued until this agreement is fully executed. So, I think we've come to a really reasonable agreement that everyone on both sides of the table were comfortable with, and which defines moving forward how the project will be managed from here on out.
That's satisfy your question, Carl?
Yeah.
Okay, great.
I'd just like to comment that the reason it's been 20 years, it's not really been worth, it's been because we didn't have wastewater facilities, so it took that long to get facilities out there, for that, so, we have talked about this before and what we agreed on, and I feel like we, in my opinion, this is a good agreement. We spent a lot of money on attorney's fees and going back and forth and, you know, to continue on. I think this is a fair amount with what we've already expended out here to try to get this resolved.
Anyone else? All right. I would take a motion to approve resolution number 2025-30.
I'll make a motion that we approve resolution number 2025-32, the Hill Development Agreement.
Second.
Got a motion and a second, all in favor? All opposed?
Okay.
3-2 against. One abstention.
That correct? 3-2?
Everybody,
Uh-huh.
did you get everybody?
One abstention.
You have that return.
Yes.
That resolution failed. All right, going on to proposed resolution number 2025-33, authorizing the execution of a maintenance agreement with Blue Valley Public Safety Incorporated to service and repair 5 existing storm paths. Any discussion? All right. Take a motion to approve.
I move that we approve the EVPS tornado. Resolution from 2025-30.
I'll second.
That motion is second, all in favor? 6-0, resolution carried. Next up, is discussion about the street plan. You're on, Terry.
I don't, I just want to give you guys an update that, our street plan 2025 is done. We got the Marion over there covered. We kind of skimmed that, last week. That was our last thing to do. We come in under budget by about, we're gonna be about 50,000 under what we originally thought. I talked to Sean about that, and I talked to Kathy. We're gonna save that for next year. We're gonna do a lot of maintenance on these roads that we have already put in. We might be slurry sealing instead of chip sealing next year, keeping that work. So, unless you all got anything else that, weather gets kind of cold, get asphalt the last 2 weeks, we really had to put down, put the construction. Doesn't just get the asphalt here on time and before it cools down. I really hate to play anymore. Just, if we have a long week or something, but, I leave that up to you guys. I would like to be there next year. So that we have a, ramp fill, a lot of slurry seal, crack seal, all that stuff next year. So that DP roads good that we put in.
Question for Darren, I'll move it up.
I just have a question. I know, I walk down the street, I don't know who makes the little hole in the streets, you know, that you.
It's, Socket is doing that. And, you know, I've already talked to them about coming back, filling them in again, because of water and so, you know, there's been a lot we've been. So, yeah, so I talked to them, Thursday about that. Thursday, Wednesday. Remember we take, because there's a big one in Marion that they created 6 holes.
This is like 4 or 8 or 3.
Yeah, there's several, and I told them they need to get back to building.
Any other questions for Darren? All right. Thank you for your.
Yeah.
All right, next up, discussion of public safety sales tax.
Everyone. I thought it might be, first of all, I'll back up. In the board packet, you all received a letter that I had prepared, and I did take a few revisions and drafts. I had first approached, city administration and then the finance committee to make some headway on how we would approach the public with, more information about the public safety sales tax and specifically the financing part of the sales tax. So with all of those discussions, I prepared this letter, and with that, when the meeting is concluded, there's some boards back here. I'd like to stand back and answer any specific questions you have. Because I know if you have the questions, then the general public will have those same questions. I want to be able to answer yours. Some of the things that I wanted to highlight in the letter, they specifically come from the police facility focus group meetings that began a year ago. So they started in October of 24. They ran through March, April timeframe of 25. And then we started bringing information that they had discussed and provided feedback to us, to you all, at several board meetings. And then at a recent past board meeting, you all had approved election language ballot, election ballot language for the upcoming April 2026 election. And we started our public information campaign. So we started pushing information out on our social media. We updated our website to the new information that came from the focus group. And some of the feedback that I have received from the community specifically are tied to the financials, right? And some of we specifically started we started in a working backwards in this, as you kind of can see what we deliberately did that. We deliberately started working backwards. The focus group gave us some priorities, right? And some of those I highlight in this letter. We went from the half-cent sales tax question. The focus group wanted that reduced, and that was reduced to what you all had approved, a 3/8-cent sales tax, specifically dedicated to public safety, this facility. And with that also comes what the focus group recommended was for lack of a better word, a sunset, right? When the debt is repaid, that tax ends, right? That was another recommendation. They also wanted a drastically smaller building. They wanted to reduce the cost. Not only they wanted to reduce the tax, they wanted to reduce the cost of this building. Well, the way to reduce costs are reduction in square footage and building material selection, right? Much of the programming that was in that initial half-cent proposal has been removed from the current square footage. So one of the questions or asks that it made of me was, what square footage, do you foresee your staff needing to safely operate? And they use the word safely operate. I took that. What can I do to provide the focus group information about this safely operating? I looked at square footage in the 6,000 square foot range. We felt that with our finance advisors, Joey McCline to be exact, that we could afford a facility with a 3/8-cent sales tax in that square footage to safely operate. One of the other areas the focus group discussed was location. It was discussed different spots, but they did believe that the info field, or the field directly across from the post office, was the best site. The city already owned it. You wouldn't have to pay money to acquire the land, and that it was centrally located to make an easy response for police officers to go either north to the interstate or south to your residential, that we would be able to maximize response times. So when I sent that letter out, I would be happy to have, I wanted this to be kind of an interactive discussion. So I'd like to hear your thoughts on the financials. I'd like to hear your thoughts on the letter, or if you haven't had an opportunity to see some of the materials that I brought, I'd be happy to stay as long as necessary about those particular posters that we have back there. Nothing has much changed from some of the other presentations. The 3/8-cent sales tax should generate approximately $255,000 annually. If voted in by the public, it will create a oversight group that you all appoint, and you all make the rules how that oversight, what that oversight committee will handle and how they report back to you on purchasing or the status of any construction or the status of the income and revenue expenditures. So you have that that focus group, or sorry, that police committee that can help you with this public safety sales tax. And then, of course, one of the pictures that you'll see in the back, it just, obviously it's just for illustrations only. I want to emphasize that nothing you see back there has to be built, right? We had to start with a slate to say, can it be done? And can it be done with safety in mind, which is what the focus group wanted. So can we put the programming, by programming I mean interview rooms or detention cells or office space or community space or where you visit with people on a day-to-day basis in a facility and maximize that space to make it safe for everybody. And I think you can. I think you can do that with the 3/8 cent sales tax. I believe that the focus group did a wonderful job of maximizing a tax bill this move forward with a constructive project. With that, I will kind of leave it with you all. Any questions you might have, be happy to answer those. I will just kind of note, I put some inflation costs in here, here with what the previous election that had failed would look like in today's dollars. And as you can see, construction dollars are increasing. So when we talk about construction dollars, I have leaned on my friends in the business, the ones that I have made over the last few years, to find out, are we still in the same ballpark? As we sit today, we are. You know, by the time an election rolls around and the time you choose to construct a facility, that can all change. You guys will be front and center in making those decisions. We'll bring the experts in to talk with you about the information so that you can make a well-educated decision. That's really what I have for you tonight.
So,
I just wanted to point out, I think it's great that you have in here how it is gonna affect how it could affect the individual consumer based on how much they spend. And I think showing those amounts, that it drives home that it is a safety sales tax, not a property tax, not a real estate tax. And that we're also gonna get funds from people passing through that purchase things here too. And it just doesn't fall just strictly on the people that live in the city. So.
And that's true, and that's something the focus group looked at. They clearly didn't want any kind of, well, they didn't want to pull away from general revenue. They felt a dedicated tax of some sort for a project like this was the route to go. They also felt that expanding beyond your local resident and allowing others to participate in public safety, you know, that need our services is the route to go to. So that's a great point.
I think as much as you can to get that education component out there will help.
Sure. Great. Some of the ideas that some of the ideas that we had discussed, if you have others, please share them with me. But, you know, going to a fast food restaurant, spending, you know, $9 or $10 on a value meal, you know, that motorist that's just traveling through is investing 3 or 4 cents, about 3 or 4 cents in the public safety facility. One way to look at it.
So, for one thing, I 100% agree with you on where the longer we wait, the more expensive whatever building we build is going to get. I think that's a given, and I think it does need to weigh into the decision. So I want to validate that, make sure people understand that. No matter what we do, the longer we wait, the cost of building a structure is never going to go down. It's going to continue to go up. and we will continually have to build a smaller structure going forward, along the way. But I am concerned, so the numbers we put together were, for sales tax was on a 2% increase year over year, correct? That's what we hope. We hope that, business is getting better. But the last 12-month trend is we're down 3%. And I know everybody's feeling it. I know we've got lots of fronts on the city, downtown's feeling it, all of our businesses are feeling it, our budgets are feeling it. We're not spending as much money because of the current climate. We all hope that changes, but what if it doesn't change? What happens? Say this does pass, people are optimistic, which we hope that they are. If it passes, what happens if our sales tax revenue continues to decline? What happens? Because we're not gonna have the money we thought. Does that stretch the loan out further? Have we ran the numbers to see what the 3/8 sales tax does without a growth? If we just stay stagnant, and what those numbers look like? I don't wanna be a Debbie Downer, but I think that's something we need to look into and see what is the worst case scenario, should this pass? And things don't improve like we really hope they will. What's it gonna look like to all of us? And what's it gonna look like to the building? Are we gonna get halfway through it and not be able to finish paying for it? Or collect the sales tax and not be able to even break ground? And just have to sit on a nest egg, maybe investing it or something till we get enough to build it? What are the options there that we looked into? Should something not improve?
Great question. I was, having to sit down with, Alderman Whitsitt, and discuss those very things here recently. And, you guys have options, obviously. I think that, one option is you could delay the project if you feel that you want, a reserve built up before you, issue debt, pay off. That's an option. You can, other options are, changing building materials, and that's one of the key points. Selecting that architectural firm, that engineering firm is gonna be very crucial for this body. Because, you need to trust them and trust that the information they are providing you at the time you go out to bid on contractor, or what kind of materials you want to use. And some of the focus group members had talked about other types of building materials, 3D printing and things. And, maybe in 2 or 3 years, that is an option that you can discuss. So, moving forward with, giving you the best advice, we would bring in all these experts. We bring in during the planning or other financial experts, those in the building trade. I can lean on those that we've already had, visit with you all, and have them come back and talk to you more about what those costs look like. I do think there are some options. If you looked at USDA loan, for instance, you might be able to reduce, and I say might, we're not quite sure where the interest rates would be with USDA loan, but part of this process would be for you all to find the very best finance rates if you can in order to maximize your total expenditure. Well, if you go with a USDA loan, you might get a better interest rate, but they do not allow for growth. So you can't figure 2% at all. So when we talk about illustrations that we have back here, or sketches, these are all contingent, upon your own direction, route you want to go, should the voters say yes to this proposal. We certainly want them to know that if we sit in April, this tax is still proposed, or is still going to estimate to generate $255,000 annually. You guys have options. You can, delay if you want, or you can, if the rates are good and the project is, you trust your engineer firm or your architect firm, you can say yes and move forward because the price is the price you want it to be.
I think Chief made a very good point in his letter that we really can't specify the cost or come up with the cost till we know that the taxes passed. We've got, I forget the wording, the exact wording that you said, but, we've got to know the revenue before we can identify the cost, because we don't know, what the sales tax is gonna look like, as you mentioned. If you look at the last 5 years, our sales taxes increased 2%, of which we've had a 4% decline over the past year. So that's kind of questionable in my mind, whether or not that 2% is conservative. Is, you know, hopefully it is. Hopefully we get to turn around and have more sales tax. You know, maybe it's gonna be flat for 5 years. We'll have a better look at that, you know, in another year down the road. We may need to cut back on that design. We may need to phase it. It's gonna be an important decision for the new Board of Aldermen once they know that the sales tax is passed or not. Financing, the rates may be up, the rates may be down after April next year. We just don't know what that number is. The only thing that we can say is that based on what it looks like now with the 2% growth, the maximum that it looks like that is available to spend is 4.9 million. We may only be able to do 4 million, we may only be able to do 3 million, but with that set of numbers, 4.9 million is math. Who knows what it's gonna be? So, we've got to have the election. Voters are going to tell us at the election who the board's going to be that's going to make that decision. That board's going to pick the oversight committee that's going to keep an eye on the spending. The taxpayers have a tremendous opportunity to control or have the transparency that they want to have to build the building that our officers need, that they really have to have. And I don't know any community that's as open as it appears that we're doing in this process. I'm really not seen it any place. We'll be as open as we can, and Chief has come a long way from the original building that's been presented to the public to vote. So it's going to be a step-by-step process. We're a long ways from seeing what the building is going to end up.
One of my goals with having this discussion tonight is presenting all of this information to the 7 of you all first, you know, letting you guys give me the feedback. You've probably already heard from the constituents. You can share that with me, but sometimes you feel a little more comfortable visiting with me about the topic maybe than the average person. They might not show up at my open houses or come, you know, Thursday night, we're gonna have a chat with the chief. They might not come, but I hope they do. And they would ask, you know, questions or at least give me areas that I need to research so I can get them the right information.
Where's your chat gonna be Thursday night?
It'll be here
Thursday
from 6 to 8 today.
Okay.
I'm thinking that one of the things that I read here, if they see the proposal from last time and the difference at this time, cutting the building 53%, I mean, that's a lot. You know, if they just consider that, I mean, I just feel like that they need to look at it and not just say, oh, it's another tax. They need to really look at it. But
And I'm sure there will be some that you know, would still be a no, and some that are a yes. It's those ones that just don't understand. I hope I can answer some questions for them to help them make a decision, would be my goal with this whole process.
I also think that some of them don't realize we are part of this community. And we're trying to do what's best for what we think's best. There's 6 of us trying to take care of 5,500 people, you know, and we pay the same tax. Although we get accused of not paying the same tax, but we do. You know, so it's not like we wouldn't be contributing as well.
Well, and it's like, you know, state troopers and sheriff's deputies and even myself and other officers, we do commerce and, you know, we buy goods and services in Odessa all the time. So we're actually contributing to the public safety ourselves. We're working the profession. And those are some things that, you know, I certainly have discussions individually with people when they ask and, you know, I'll be open and share them. I do have to give Troy a shout out. Some of the things that you'll see back here, we sat down. So, you know, everything that you'll see, these illustrations or sketches are, they're done in-house. We did not, you know, this go around, we did not hire an engineering or architect firm to do any kind of conceptual design. We sat down and we took that focus group, you know, idea and, you know, how can we just as lay people, you know, visually show it, because some people we're just visual people. And I have to thank Troy because without his help, none of this back here would have been possible. So thank you, you know, for that. And of course, my staff too, right? You know, my staff's really helped sit down with me and talk about their jobs and what a facility can do to help them do their job and, you know, interview victims safely and suspects safely and just do something as simple as taking fingerprints safely. And so those are some ideas that we put into this just to be able to illustrate that it can be done, that this project can be done with the limited scope and the reduced setup time.
Well, I know I'm leaving, but first I want to say, I hope everybody knows how much time and energy and effort that not only staff, but the focus groups have put into it. And I think you're doing a wonderful job, but we need a police station. So whatever happens with this board or the next board or the election, it's going to be, we're going to have to continue to work on this. It's not something that it didn't pass or this time. We're going to have to still continue to do it until we get a police station. And the state of Missouri, right, gave us this option, you know, explain to me again what happened last year where when we first put this on, we were kind of given permission to ask the voters for this tax, correct?
Yes, so if you guys don't recall, we actually had to go to the state legislature to specifically ask permission to put a public safety sales tax on the ballot. It wasn't, they weren't passing the tax for anyone. It's just permission to ask the voters whether they approve or disapprove, right, of the public. And it's one of those specific taxes that requires state legislature approval. So this process for me has been 4 years ongoing, and it will continue if necessary. But you know, I think that you know, I recognize some areas that I fell short in the first election. You know, the first time we tried this and mistakes that we had made, and my hope is that with the friendships I've made with the public safety focus group and of course with your all's input, that we can get the correct information out, but at least so the voter goes informed to the polls. And you know, I would hope that they would see that this is a benefit for the community in the end. But ultimately, like you said, if it doesn't, then you know, I'll continue moving forward. We'll keep informing the public again.
We'll get a police station for sure.
Building's not getting to the best on everybody.
Correct. I think this is a good effort, good try, and thank you guys for spending all this time.
Very good. Well, you'll start seeing some updates to our website again. I didn't want to put financials out on the website or public forum without talking to you all first. So you'll start seeing that out. You can certainly direct your constituents and you know, public to that website or to that material. Encourage them to come to we still have several. I'll have an open house on December the 13th. It'll be available, and I think I did it on a weekend, so that folks can come in on a weekend maybe and take a tour, get some coffee, or they can come Thursday evening. It'll be down here. Chat with the chief, just come in and visit. Hopefully I can answer their questions. But tell them to keep monitoring those websites and Facebook and other sources. We'll be putting some information in the newspaper, through some advertisements and things to make sure that those that maybe aren't online as much still get the information and know where to go to find it, or come to one of our upcoming events so they can get the information. I'll appreciate that.
Well, just to let you know, you did not do it on the weekend.
Was the 13th? Okay. Maybe that, I think I had that out in the next, January. So, yeah, I couldn't remember what day the 13th was on, so. There's more to come, January and February too, but the ones we have on the calendar now are just in December.
Very good.
Thank you.
Very good.
Any other questions? Thank you all very much.
Thank you. All right, next up, have discussion on the strategic plan. Plan today,
I've been going through different colors of each of these plans. So tonight, topic is planning and development. And it was identified by you guys that, and the community input, that Odessa lacks consistent community-driven strategic planning process that endures beyond election cycles and ensures long-term implementation and accountability. And so what are we gonna do about that? We're gonna work really hard over the next 5 years to improve that process. We need to update planning mechanisms, including comprehensive plan and unified development code and building codes to current and inclusive state. We are currently operating off the 2012 IDC. I would love to be able to send Jenny to training, however, they don't offer training. So we need to, because it's so dated, we need to update that code significantly. Work has begun with the planning and zoning department, or the planning and zoning commission, to go through all of the different uses and review the code, and it's very arduous to do that. Staff for quite some time has been trying to update the municipal code as things come up, but there's just a lot of planning code tools that need to be sharpened over the next few years. Streamlining the development process with modernization and digitization. Thank goodness we have Jenny. She is very, very computer literate, very forward thinking. She's going to really help move us forward in that region. We have historically maintained paper everything, and so moving that department into a digital age is going to be huge for us. It's going to help improve the communications with our development community and any of our residents that are wanting to build a garage or add a deck or whatever those processes are. Developing and implementing an economic development. We all know that we need economic development. We need to have, we've got the incentive guidelines, which is a really great step, but we need to develop that economic development plan into what are we really visualizing the Odessa is going to be by 10, 20, 30 years from now. So we'll be working towards that. Utilizing partnerships with local business organizations to enhance community economic development. We have a really good relationship with the Chamber of Commerce, with the Downtown Collective. Bruce is working with the collective and the food truck people to work out a compromise that's going to be beneficial to the entire company, community. So those types of partnerships need to be strengthened and built upon. Improving development relationships. So we have a bad reputation with the development community as being difficult to work with, and we need to fix that, and we're working hard to fix that. I have had a couple of comments in the last couple of weeks praising our ability to just communicate with those developers. We're focusing really hard at City Hall on communicating every step of the process. We've got your site plan, it's going for site review. We got those comments back. Here's what needs to be addressed. Haven't talked to you for a while. How are things going with this project that you've been proposing? Those types of conversations build those relationships and make it truly that open door that we want the community to have, to be able to come in and say, okay, I know that you can help me do this. I've been really, really hard trying not to get on Facebook, but I did see an actual positive comment on a community page. I know, I was so excited. Somebody was asking about, I need a building permit. Is that a difficult process? And there was positive feedback. So baby steps, but we are making steps in the right direction. Increasing training for staff to improve consistency of plan and code interpretation across projects. I can assure you that prior to Christie's retirement, my involvement in the planning and permitting side of the business was nil. I have learned an incredible amount in a very short period of time. Jenny has caught on about 100 times faster than I have. She's doing great, but we need to have those educational opportunities to improve that. What's success going to look like for us? We're going to reduce the number of variants and special exception requests. For instance, right now, when we have somebody do a sign permit, we kind of know we're going to have some kind of variance request associated with that sign permit application. We actually have a couple that I think we're going to get without any type of variances in them. But once our codes are improved, that variance ratio should decrease, and we'll see that. Reduction in the average time to review and process development application. You know, we want people to be able to be proactive and moving forward in our community. We don't want to be known as that city where plans just never move forward. So if someone brings a development plan to us, we want to be able to bring that to the proper boards that need to authorize it, get the reviews done, get the permits issued, and move forward in time. And doing that, we will increase the number of building permits that we have. And hopefully we will also increase the percentage of customers who are satisfied with us on transaction-based permits. And one of probably the most detrimental to us, and the piece that we really need to go, okay, at the end of the day, we're not going to have legal challenges that have adverse rulings. We want to make sure that we're doing everything by the book. We're developing the way that the community intends, and that we aren't parties to any adverse. That's what we have laid out for that plan, but we definitely want to talk to you guys about what do you see from a strategic planning for planning and development.
I think when we had our meeting about this, so, planning and development, I'm not reading in here, but we need to look at industry and maybe so, that's part of this planning and development, or was that piece somewhere else?
That is part of kind of economic development.
Okay,
So it's, you know, defining, these are good industrial fits for our community. This commercial base would be a good fit for our community. My economic development 101 says we're highly a veteran community. If we create jobs in Odessa where people can work here, they will spend their money. It is very easy if you're driving to Kansas City every day to spend your money in Jackson County on your way home. But I drive to Odessa every day. So my dollars stay here. So if we create jobs where people have the opportunity to work, where our kids can grow up, come back and raise their families here and have jobs for them, we're gonna be successful, we're gonna grow that.
I'm just saying, economic planning and development all seem to be hand in hand with that. and
They've gotta work.
I think I've been behind the eight ball in that for a long time.
There's a second set of building codes. We use the IBC 2012.
Yeah.
There's also the IEBC, for the existing building codes. And we talked about incorporating both of those so that some of these historical buildings, they're not, the codes aren't as stringent. They understand historical buildings. You just can't do some things with those historical buildings you can with new builds. And I think we're gonna look at incorporating both of those part of our ordinance.
The codes are personally hard for me to look up and read. I mean, I've tried on multiple occasions.
They're brutal.
I have to go for help because I'm not really looking, I'm not finding one. So I have to read it. Room for improvement on that.
Anything else?
You know,
Okay.
Where does the master plan fit into this? Is that what you're calling the comprehensive plan?
Comprehensive would be the master plan. That covers everything, all departments, how are we gonna go?
And I'm not sure whether it fit in your planning and development here or more in, economic development. But, and I'll try to be politically correct. Lafayette County and Trails Regional. I don't think, sometimes I don't think they know Odessa exists. And there's a big community to the west of us that, maybe some memberships in some of their, development organizations might, benefit us to participate in some of their organizations.
I 100% agree. You know, we need to tap into the resources that we can to get the leads that we need to attract development. And there are things there available. We'll definitely be talking about some of those through our budget workshop. That's some ideas for some changes next year.
They're just limited on staff time to get the energy to do that in the parts, right? I know, it's all about that.
But it's a process, absolutely, but, we had from time to time, we get leads. So we will have, the Missouri Partnership, for instance. We'll have site selectors nationwide reach out and say, I'm looking for a site that has this many acres and it's interstate served, and trail served, or whatever these qualifications are. Do you have the electric capacity, do you have the water capacity, whatever it is? When we get those, we don't have a prepackaged, here we go, this is it, let's get this out the door. What we do have though are really aggressive staff. And so we had one of those, a couple of weeks ago, maybe a little longer than that now, that we were able to get the information out in a very quick turn time, because we dropped everything we were doing and focused solely on that. And were then put into the consideration pool for that particular lead. What we would like to do is to be more responsive to all of this. That anything that fits Odessa's criteria, having the ability, the partnerships that Bruce was speaking to would give us more of a direct connection. Thank you.
Gabby. All right, next scheduled meeting is Monday, November 24th. Do any of the aldermen have any requests to have anything put on the agenda? Alderman Paulson.
So I'm not sure actually be on the new agenda, but, going back to the Hill Developers Agreement, just how to go forward on that. And personally, as I'm saying, I have nothing personal against Lisa Bailey, for that development. But I would anticipate that any developer coming into Augusta would probably
We will be discussing this further.
okay, well, and I like to explain the reason that I voted no, just so people know. I think that on exhibit E, there's a quote there, submitted by CAT that says they were gonna fix the tree repair. The quote was dated August 5th, 2024. And then in the fine print, it said subject to change order at the price increases of supplies, et cetera. So that kind of needs to be looked at. That's gonna be accredited. Yeah, and to discuss how, I guess I did not understand how all of the credit available are counted out. Because it doesn't have it in the negotiation.
All right. Is that it? All right. We do have a meeting during the closed session. So I would, brief it. John, if you would make it to the motion to this, option one.
I'll make a motion that we adjourn to closed session pursuant to RSMO 610.021, legal actions, causes of action, litigation, or confidential attorney-client communication.
Second. Got a second over here. Roll call.
Was that second with Colin?
Yes.
Okay. Roll call, Alderman Starr,
Yeah.
sorry, Holson,
Yes.
Ellert,
Yeah.
Plackty,
Yeah.
Witsit, Kerrigan.
We're just going to meeting in.
Okay, how do I?
You've been out there to see it.
Steve Bailey is your what?
They're gonna be out there.
Hold on.
Vice President. Should he go?
I would.
One of them.
Okay, I just shut it down. Hopefully that's gonna do it. Okay, go ahead. So I was like,
We clear?
yes, we're clear.
Did. Abstain.
Girl. Numbers go through my head a day.
It's up to you whether you wanna be in session or not. I mean, being in it and voting on the things that you're not going to vote. So, you know, you,